Welcome to Fun with Annuities with your host, me, Stan the Annuity Man, America's annuity agent. Can annuities be fun? Can contractual guarantees be fun? Absolutely they can. Find out the brutal facts about annuities with no sales pitches or high-pressure nonsense. Just the brutal and factual annuity truth, which is all you need to hear. Let's have some fun with annuities, and let's have that fun start right now. Welcome to Fun with Annuities. I'm your host, Stan the Annuity Man, America's annuity agent licensed in all 50 states. I want to welcome all of you that are joining us on the major podcast platforms out there and also on the Fun with Annuities YouTube channel, which is fun to watch us interact if you want to do that. I am really excited for my guest today. Her name is Ellie Saul. She is well known in her industry as Mama Bear Medicare. And I really like her because she has a Southern accent. So you're going to hear a lot of twanging. She's based out of Fort Worth, Texas. And as you know, with all of my experts that I bring on, you know, I'm the expert in annuities. I only do annuities. I'm that guy. But, you know, I have Jack Lundenberg for long-term care and Bill Black for life insurance. And I'm hoping that Mama Bear Medicare, and I think she will be our go-to resource for all things Medicare. So with that being said, I want to welcome Ellie Saul, now called Mama Bear Medicare. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Stan. Thank you so much for having me. I love your show.
Great.
Long-time listener, first-time caller. No.
Great. And for the people on the podcast, this is kind of fun. I would encourage you to go to our Fun with Annuities YouTube channel because Ellie has this huge stuffed bear beside her. I mean, she's branding. I love that. I mean, I'm the brander, right? But she is really, really good at branding. So let's kind of jump in. Why do you call yourself Mama Bear? I like that. I think it's cool and it rhymes, but what's the reason behind that?
Thanks, Stan. It's kind of personal. So when I started out in this industry, my husband and I were trying to start a family, and we tried for a long time. It took us over 8 years to have our sweet son. We have 2 baby bears in heaven, and through trying to become a mom, which has been my lifelong dream, I found Medicare, and I think Medicare found me. So I became very passionate and full of knowledge, and just have this care for Medicare beneficiaries who, it feels like in this industry, have no one else just looking out for them. You know, there are very few people who take on the burden of truly protecting the rights of 12,000 people turning 65 every single day.
I keep saying 10,000. Is it up to 12 now?
It depends on the day. Yeah, it depends on the day. It could be between 6 and 12. And, you know, they say we're not even maxed out yet. So there are a lot of people looking for information, and there's amazing information for them.
By the way, people that are listening that just are trying to figure out who this great Southern voice is on the line, it's Mama Bear Medicare, Ellie Saul. And if you go to Mama Bear Medicare, just like it sounds.com, mamabearmedicare.com, no spaces, you can find all her stuff. And we're going to have a page for her on our site like we do with all of our celebrity guests, where you can, you know, read about her and you can link to her stuff. And she's got some good videos. And so I'm just letting you know, don't panic. You know that we're going to have all kinds of stuff about Ellie on our site, and hopefully have her back ongoing, because Medicare is kind of a funky little thing. I don't know that much about it, to be very honest, which is I'm glad that she's on. My PR team is just always yelling at me for the last year, do we have anybody for Medicare? And I literally, as I started looking, I'm thinking to myself, if there's an industry that's more messy than annuities, it's Medicare. It's ridiculous. So tell us a little bit more about how you landed in the Medicare, because I tell the story, nobody wakes up in the morning and names themselves Stan the Annuity Man and goes into the financial curse word of products and tries to scream into the hurricane. Same kind of thing with Medicare. How did you land here? Give us a little bit more of that story.
So it's a little bit silly, but
I like it.
about a decade ago, I was teaching a Bible study class for one of
Okay.
my best friends who lives in a different state. So we were just starting to love the technology and the ability to be able to have classes in different states at the same time. And her mother watched me teach one night and basically recruited me and then mentored me, taught me Medicare. I didn't know Medicare at all. I was doing collections. So you want to talk about an armpit job.
Wow.
you know and so I just started taking in all the information that I could like a sponge. And even
Hmm.
as someone brand new to the industry, it was pretty difficult
Yeah.
finding truly educational resources.
Right.
And when I would go to trainings, like I was a sponge. So any big name insurance company or big brand that had any kind of Medicare training or Medicare anything, I was
Hmm.
there, with my notepad and my little glasses and ready to go. And most of those big classes were very disappointing.
Hmm.
In fact, I can't tell you how many times I've heard from the stage of a major brand name that I will not reveal
Yeah, we don't do company names. Yeah.
ever, because it's silly anyway. And the same company that owns the logo may not even actually be the company up there on
Hmm.
stage. But regardless, I heard several leaders say, do not educate. Do not do educational meetings. If you're doing educational meetings, that's the first thing you need to stop because they're not profitable. And that hurt my mama bear heart. So I kind of made a
Hey,
commitment.
by the way, turn off whatever's dinging and ringing back there, because that's going to be relatively annoying to my listeners. So should have covered that early. One of the things that she talks about, which is education. That's kind of what we do. That's what I do. I mean, I call myself an edutainer because I'm a little bit of an entertainer, but a lot of education with my books and videos and podcasts and all that stuff. So I think one of the I'm going to start this off kind of with a dumb question, because and I'm sure my listeners and viewers are like, Stan, please come on, man. What's the difference between Medicare and Medicaid?
That is not a dumb question. And I did not know the answer to that question when I started.
I
So I have
still don't. So you're going to educate me right here. So go ahead.
okay, I have a very easy way to remember it.
Okay.
Medicare is health care for people 65 or older, or someone who's had permanent disability for 24 consecutive months, or have a specific diagnosis that makes them eligible for health care by Medicare. And Medicaid is financial aid for lower income. There are times that someone may be dual eligible, in other words, eligible for Medicare and Medicaid at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
but that's kind of rare.
Okay. That's pretty basic. I really wasn't even aware of that. Why is people are looking for Medicare, and I want my clients and prospects and listeners and all those, but however you define yourself out there, to use Ellie and Mama Bear Medicare as your resource for all questions, because she is going to shoot it straight and she's not going to try to sell you something and all that stuff. But why is Medicare literacy education so important now, in your opinion? Is it because of the demographic tidal wave of people turning 65, or is it just the fact that it's so messy in your industry, similar to the annuity industry, of wrong messages, agendas? What's your take on why literacy is kind of a pound the table thing right now when it comes to Medicare?
That's an awesome question. And I think you already kind of hit the nail on the head, that our industries are so similar in that the beauty of the industry is the best kept secret.
What is
And
that? Now stop right there. You can't just say that and move on. What is the best kept secret?
so the best kept secret about Medicare is that Medicare, original Medicare, has everything that we've ever dreamed of health insurance having that we've never had.
Mm-hmm.
Original Medicare is completely transparent and has accountability on every single side. every piece of coverage that someone can have when they're eligible for Medicare under original Medicare is public information. And it's the same exact coverage for every single person who has it. And it becomes confusing because in the industry, there's a huge push for everyone eligible for Medicare surrendering their right to.
Why is that? Now, why is that? Why is that happening? I don't understand that.
So there are two sides of Medicare, right? There's the old-fashioned, good old original Medicare. Everything is public information. You can even buy guaranteed renewable coverage where you can never be dropped, where your coverage can never be changed, and have the same rights for everyone who has it. Completely transparent public information. Then there's a whole nother side, a privatized side. And on the private side is the profit side. So the profit side, where someone can surrender their right to original Medicare and purchase Medicare Advantage or an alternative to original Medicare, that private side is 100% for profit.
Now, why would people choose that? And I see the bad TV commercials and all these, aging celebrities and people we watched on sitcoms a long time ago, and people that played football 38 years ago or whoever. Love those people, nothing against them, but they shouldn't be giving Medicare advice. I understand the profit, but why would someone choose their program and give up the rights that you're talking about?
So it's the same answer as why would someone choose a fixed index annuity? Because of a bonus. Why would someone buy an annuity ever? Because of a bonus. The bonus is the flashy thing that you look at and you forget about the contractual guarantees that you may be surrendering to have that little, flashy thing on the side.
Yeah,
and
I always tell people upfront bonuses, candy for the stupid. Hopefully you didn't buy one for that. It's like buying a car for the stereo system. So what you're saying to me is, they're saying, hey, you got this really good contractual guarantee, but forget that. This is a really good television commercial, and we want to give you the whistles and bells and all this stuff. One of my favorites, and I think not favorites. When I see it, I'm like, really, are people that stupid? Call to see if your area code qualifies. I mean, I'm assuming, Ellie, that every area code qualifies.
Listen, I always say, how many people do you think know about this window of guaranteed insurability that you have? How many insurance companies do you think knows about that? All of them. And those are the ones that you're hearing from and receiving information from when there is perfectly wonderful, true resources available without having to just take the answers, from, like you said, the commercials. Some of those commercials even offer that you can get your premiums back for Part B, which is kind of ridiculous because there's a standard premium for Part B. And Stan, less than 7% of the population pay a different amount. And that includes those paying more for it because of income-related monthly adjustment amounts. So to think that someone calling a 1-800 number to see if they can get some money back is a good idea is kind of like the bonus side. So one way to make sure that you are eligible to get that money back is the first question, Medicaid. So the state where you reside has different rules and regulations, and you may qualify for that state to pay your premiums back. But you're not going to get it from a celebrity or from an insurance company. So it's just one of those little flashy things that they do to attract people.
Well, the more research that, have my staff kind of dig in a little bit on Medicare and present me some stuff to look at over the weekend. And it's just so eerily similar to the annuity space because there's really no regulation on the messaging. And, obviously if there was, there wouldn't be any need for Mama Bear Medicare or Stan the Annuity Man, right? I mean, the messaging of annuities and Medicare is where the problems start, in my opinion. Do you agree with that?
100%. And I think it's a lack of education. You know, in both our fields, there are so many events that someone who is eligible can attend where they're promised a free steak dinner and
Sure.
a workshop.
Sure.
And most of those, you know, workshops may be a passionate salesperson teaching someone how to buy what they're selling instead of teaching them how to look for the perfect coverage for themselves.
So
You know,
with Medicare, it sounds like to me, and I always tell people, yeah, annuities are commodity products, but everyone's situation's different and customizable, even though the contractual guarantees are in place. Is that the same thing with Medicare, that you have contractual guarantees in place, but the reason that people need to contact you or an expert like you is so that they can tell you their specific situations, goals, issues, etc., and then you can guide them and point them to the right contractual guarantee? Sounds eerily familiar.
absolutely, Stan. That's exactly what it is. And that's exactly why it is so important that you contact someone who can walk you through this process, because most of the people that I meet with, or most of my students in classes at libraries, you know, all over the state, don't even realize the brand new rights that they have for their health care when they turn 65. For example, when you turn 65, you have the right to choose your own prescription drug coverage. You've never had that right. The way that health insurance has always worked our whole life is someone gives you a card and says, okay, now you need to use this pharmacy, you need to, you know, pay this copay, or you can't go there, you can't use this brand. When you become eligible for Medicare, the tables are turned and you have the right to choose. You get to pick based on what you're taking and where you want to go to the pharmacy. So if someone is ever trying to sell a plan because of how awesome it is, if they don't at the very least know someone well enough to know what they're taking before they make a recommendation, then there's something in it for them and not the beneficiary.
I know that there's so many people turning 65. When do you tell people to engage with you? What's an age where people should start calling you? And with that, let me just remind people, this is Ellie Saul, Mama Bear Medicare. She's based out of Fort Worth, Texas, but she will take calls from all 50 states, just like Stan the Annuity Man. She can help you because, you know, she understands this backwards and forwards. But when should someone say, okay, it's time to call Ellie, it's time to call the Mama Bear? What age is that?
So that is such a good question. I think the best age is whatever age you are. And if you
Oh,
want to call,
I'm not gonna let you get away with that now. Come on now.
how old are you?
Explain.
Call me. No. The best age to be able to pull the trigger and make a decision, if you want to do so while you have a golden ticket. And a golden ticket is a once in a lifetime window when someone can choose any coverage they want and not be denied because of past health, present health, or potential, you know, future health. You can start making selections 6 months before your 65th birthday,
Okay.
the month of, and up to 5 after, if you know you want original Medicare. And so if that is the case, Stan, this is one of those best kept secrets that I wish everybody knew.
Well, they're getting ready to. They're going to go to mamabearmedicare.com. You're going to have these type of things listed out there in easy to understand English so that people can, number one, go to your site and just kind of learn a little bit. And then from there, if they want to engage with you on a one-on-one basis, I'm assuming that is no cost, no obligation. You're just going to get on the phone with them and have a chat. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It'll be brutally honest, like Stan,
Good.
the annuity man.
She obviously, you can tell by her voice, she's gonna be a little bit nicer than I am. I mean, I'm just, you know, I'm so old now. I just cut right to the chase. But it's good. And I, you know, in talking with Ellie, I do feel very comfortable with you. All my listeners and clients and people calling her and checking it out, and at least having a resource. What I'm finding is there's no good person out there that is a resource. There's a lot of people that sell MedSup and all that stuff. By the way, going to that MedSup, is MedSup the stuff you're seeing on TV, those stupid ads, or is MedSup something different?
So MedSup is the same thing as Medigap. If you
Okay.
ever hear language like Medicare supplement or MedSup or Medigap, what you are hearing about is actually the complement to original Medicare, where you can buy up to 6 months before your birthday. You can buy a policy. You can buy a contractual guarantee to cover you from the day you're eligible for Medicare until heaven, even up to 6 months before it starts. So if you hear words like Medicare supplement, Medigap, that's on the not-for-profit original Medicare side.
Okay.
When you hear words like Medicare Advantage or Part C, it's actually not a part of original Medicare. And most of those commercials really push that side because it is so profitable.
So Part C stands for capitalism, correct?
You could say that. I say C stands for copay, or C.
I like that. I know. I like that. Let's take a kind of a Benjamin. I was going to say Benjamin Graham because he's security analysis, but Benjamin Franklin look at Medicare. Positives and negatives. Let's start with the negatives because I always like to do that. What would, in your mind, as Mama Bear Medicare, the go-to spot for anything and all things Medicare, what's the negatives to Medicare that people need to be aware of?
So the biggest negative would be misinformation. You know, the biggest negative, in my opinion, would be surrendering your right to original Medicare and not understanding that you no longer have access to a brilliant program that you've paid into your entire working life. And a lot of times, you know, that negative comes from surrendering your right to original Medicare, paying any of your claims because you get a free gym membership.
So there's enough sociopath Medicare salesmen out there to look people in the face, sign them up for something, and have them leave behind a very good contractual guarantee. Once again, sounds very eerily similar to the annuity industry. That's disturbing. I mean, do they, if an agent, a Medicare agent out there says, I think it's in your best case or best situation or best suitability to, which it's not, is to give up Medicare and then go with this private plan, is there a piece of paper that a person has to sign saying that they fully understand that they're making the dumbest move of all time?
There is a piece of paper, and most of the things that are so negative are twisted into a sales point. And I don't think that, you know, the industry is overrun with sociopath. I think it's miseducation, Stan. It's like sitting in a fancy ballroom with all white linen tablecloth and the person on stage that you're listening to, where you're taking notes to learn about the industry, says, don't educate. So if all of my peers, and myself included, we hear that every day from leaders in the industry because capitalism is so amazing, right?
They just want you to sell it. But what I'm hearing is kind of what the annuity industry suffers from is what I think is a given if you're in the financial business is being a fiduciary, which is putting the clients ahead of your best interest. What you're saying is they're leaving fiduciary at the door, right? I mean, they're just saying, let's sell this thing. You know, you got 100 people in the room, let's sell it to 100 of them, regardless of whether they need it or it's in their best interest. Does sound like the bad chicken dinner annuity seminar, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think to a degree, we all hear what we want to hear. So if you see a flashy commercial with a $0 premium and your neighbor's son sells it and he thinks, you know, a Fitbit is the way to go and doesn't look at it for years to come. You know, we're living longer, healthier lives than ever before. There are more men alive today, Stan, over 80 years old, than have ever lived in the history of our nation.
No,
You can
I know. I don't think we got to the positives. Give a couple bullet points. We talked about the negatives, obviously the misinformation. The positives about Medicare, I think you've covered them, but give me the top three in your opinion.
So transparency, public information, uniformity. Everyone who has Medicare, original Medicare, has the same exact benefit. And it's all public information. So let's say XYZ surgery is covered for Bob. It's also covered for Sue. It's covered the same exact way in the same exact amount. And it's public information. And either of them can have a Medigap or MedSup to pay whatever Medicare does it. And that, again, is public information as well. So every patient can become financially whole and secure without having to ever sacrifice the things that they've paid into their whole working life.
Do you blame I'm going to blame the government for you, but is it just a really bad messaging problem on this from the government standpoint? Obviously, when you get private companies, they're gonna reframe it to their profitability liking. But could this be easily solved if there was a consistent message?
You know, I think that it could to a degree, but I don't know what we would have to sacrifice to do that.
What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
Original Medicare operates with a 2% administrative portion of all the money that goes into original Medicare.
Okay.
98% of it pays for claims for the patients. Have you ever heard of anything that amazing? Like, I can't think of one business where.
Yeah, but there's a catch. I'm not as excited as you. There's a catch. What's the catch?
The catch is there's not a lot of money in education. There's not a lot of funding for someone to become a Mama Bear Medicare, you know, to take her little guide to health insurance that's published by the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid every single year and just walk people through it before they make a decision that could impact the rest of their lives.
Once they make the decision, is there a do-over or is that it? Once you make it, it's done.
So the answer is, it depends.
Okay. Give me some examples.
What I mean by that is everyone has one window, one golden ticket where they can do whatever they want.
And that window, again, is that age 6, that's that 65 thing that you're talking about?
Sure is. 6 months before, the month of, and up to 5 after.
Okay.
Once they know they want original Medicare. If they're not sure, if you still are deciding between original Medicare and Medicare Advantage, you've got 3 months before the month of and up to 3 after to choose either plan that you would like on either side.
And I'm assuming you'll do that side-by-side comparison, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes it makes sense for someone to do something different altogether.
Sure.
You know, there's no one size fits all, which is what makes it so amazing that you can, for the first time in your life, you're not limited to what HR says everyone can have.
Yeah.
That's
good. Person. And correct me if I'm wrong, because when we were looking into this, and this was new to me. I've never, I'm a specialist. I do what I do. Medicare is something I just punt on when people typically ask. I don't do that anymore because I'm going to point them to you. But what you're saying is you can buy guaranteed renewable coverage that can never be dropped or changed. Is that statement true?
100%. 100% true. You can, and you can do it before your birthday. So 6 months before you even need the coverage, you can buy that policy and own it for life, which means before your coverage even begins, you can say, I know exactly what I'm going to have from the day that I start Medicare until heaven, and no one can ever take it away from me.
How long does it last? Well, that's not the right question. How long does it take from start to finish once you get involved with someone and you provide the recommendation that you think is suitable and appropriate? how long does that, I guess, how long does that process last is what I was trying to ask. What do people typically see? Paperwork and all that stuff.
So the paperwork can be very simple once we make a decision, and we don't rush making a decision. So my process is a little bit different in that, number one, it starts with education. I want every person to know before they make a decision that they have rights, that there are rights that they will only have this one time in their entire life. So once someone is educated enough to decide for themselves which side of the page, so to speak, they want, at that point, it doesn't take very long at all to get them set up. And we have a system where we make sure we have every person set up with the coverage that they need to make it as simple and seamless as possible. And there are growing pains. So every person who is helped by Obamacare, Medicare has of course, complimentary.
That'd be Mama Bear. That would be Mama Bear Medicare, right?
Mama Bear Medicare.
Yeah.
Yes. Did I say something else?
You said Mama Care, but that's okay. That's another
Oh,
company.
Mama Cares.
No,
That's why.
it's Mama Bear Medicare.com. But yeah, so the process is, obviously you and your staff take care of everything and from start to finish. But before that process even happens or starts, you're educating them so that they can make an informed decision on their terms and their time frame. That's kind of like what we do. That's what I liked when I first talked to you about coming on the podcast, is you had a similar business model of no pressure and no pushing. I know in your business, it seems like once you get in one of those companies' loops, they're going to pound you into oblivion until you either file a cease and desist order or buy it, right?
Exactly. So I say I would love to help every single person turn in 65, but that's impossible. I mean, mathematically, literally, it's impossible. And
but you're certainly going to try, as all my people call you. And no, I understand. I mean, that's common sense. But yeah, you want people to go to your site first and get educated, and then if they want to engage with you and talk to you, then that's good.
We have a little questionnaire they can fill out to see if we even have the resources to help them, or if we need to send them to someone else that we trust.
Sure.
And then we meet with them one-on-one on the phone or Zoom, or if you're local, Medicare concierge. Sure. And then we always have a Medicare Eve appointment. Medicare Eve is just one more walkthrough right before your new coverage begins to make sure all your ducks are in a row and that you have everything taken care of. It's so important because it's different for every single person, and you want to make the most out of this. Because there are times like special enrollment and disenrollment periods that will be blasted all over television and the internet when you may be able to make changes to your coverage. But once you're outside your window of guaranteed renewability, you almost always have to pass medical underwriting to be able to purchase that Medigap or Medicare supplement that you don't have to have any, medical proof for when you have a golden ticket.
Well, one of the questions that popped up in my head when I was looking at this is why, and this is another dumb question from Stan, why does Medicare have premiums? Shouldn't it be free?
Okay, that is such a good question. I love that. And it's actually a peeve when someone tells me that they have Part A and that's the free one. Part A is not free. Part B is not free. Part A has never been free. It probably never will be. Part A may have a $0 premium, which premium is the amount that you pay every month to keep your coverage in place. But it only has a $0 premium if you've already bought it. So our whole working life, when we're paying taxes into FICA or Medicare, this is what we're buying, right? We're purchasing a portion of our retirement health insurance. And then when we retire, that Part A for us has a $0 premium.
Okay.
But the actual cost of it, the actual premium is $499 a month. I don't know about you, Stan, or most of your clients, but I would much rather pay as I go while I'm working, right? To have
Right.
taxes coming out than
Right.
come up with $500 a month when I'm already retired. And so I do have some clients who pay that. And truthfully, if someone immigrated to America later on in life, or if they were advised because of profession or for whatever reason not to pay into those taxes, that $499 a month still buys them better coverage than most major group medical insurance that I get to review every day. So it's
Got it.
absolutely worth the cost.
Um, let's talk about the prescriptions. Another dumb question from Stan, but people love that about me because I'm not afraid to ask when I don't know. I don't bluff. Prescriptions, medications, things like that. How does that work with Medicare?
Okay, so that is a great question. If you've been to one of my classes, you know I say D stands for drugs and D stands for date. You want to date your drug plan, don't marry them. That's just how I remember it. D for
Okay.
drugs, D for
Okay.
date. And what I mean by that is, again, this is one of those awesome rights that you have when someone becomes eligible for Medicare. They're not limited to a one size fits all. They can choose their own prescription drug coverage based on what they're taking right now and on the pharmacy that they prefer to use. That's one of the things that Mama Care, I keep
No,
saying
it's
Mama
Mama
Care.
Bears. There's a big bear behind you. Yeah, so Mama Bear Medicare. Mama Bear Medicare. No, I think that is a good thing that you do. The other thing that I want my listeners and viewers to realize, and this is what hit me, is we all have specialists. We all have we have our primary physician, and we have our tax lawyer, and we have our CPA, hopefully, and we have our financial advisor. We have our annuity man specialist. But I do think that this is such an important part of retirement and part of chapter 2 of your life and part of the overall planning, that there is absolutely no argument for you to do this yourself. There's no argument for you to do the research unless you're that bored. If that's the case, pick up the IRS code and read that as well. What I'm excited about is I think Ellie's going to be able to bring to my listeners and viewers and clients that person that they can call and bounce something off of, and hopefully, if it fits and it's in their best interest, hire as their ongoing consultant. Because that leads into the next question is changes. Now, we're talking about contractual guarantees, but I'm assuming that this is something you advise your clients to revisit and consult with you on an annual basis, biannual basis. What do you typically tell people?
Sure. So it depends on what they've got going for them right now. But most of the time, an annual basis is perfect. You at least want to review your prescription drug coverage
Uh-huh.
because that can change, and what your needs are could change throughout the year.
Sure.
And I will say, over the past decade, every single year that I've done this, Part D, as in drugs, as in date your drug plan, has gotten better. It
Okay.
is progressively getting better and better every single year. It's not perfect, but there's litigation out there right now
Sure.
even that will make it more wonderful than it's ever been, but it still helps to have someone kind of walk you through that. The
Sure.
last thing you want to do is buy a plan because you've heard of the brand name or because your cousin has it in a different state.
Or you're watching cable news and it shows up as an ad in between the cable news slot. I mean, that's driving me crazy. I don't care where you land politically, it doesn't matter to me. But these ads have just hammered the airways, and they prey a little bit on fear and a lot on misinformation, which saddens me, because as people get into their 60, 65 age, that's chapter 2 of their life. They've scrimped and saved and checked the boxes. And also, too, as I tell people, regrettably, that all of us are going to have some form of cognitive decline as we get older. And you need experts that you can trust that aren't what I call, they're the hammer looking for the nail, meaning they're trying to sell everybody that's breathing. And I think Ellie fits that bill for what she does. We're happy to have her really on board, not as part of the Stand the Annuity Man company, but as a trusted resource, just like we send people to Jack Lindenberg for long-term care and Bill Black for life insurance. Ellie's going to be our person for Medicare, just because, as you can hear from her voice and that beautiful Southern twang, that she is passionate about this and she believes in it to the point where she has pigeonholed herself into a lane of being a specialist in this to help people. And I think that's a big part of the Mama Bear Medicare brand, which is just, you feel pretty good about helping people through this. And this is such an important decision for people. And I don't think they take it as serious as they should, because they don't have a resource like you. I think that'll change in the next 4 or 5 years. I think Ellie will be a national brand. We're just catching her early because I can spot talent. What's the future for Medicare? I mean, obviously there's people getting older every day. Those people vote, so the politicians aren't going to mess with it too much, right? What's the future for Medicare?
That's what makes me so excited. One of the things, because not only, when you're eligible for Medicare, you become a part of this amazing 1 in 7 people, right, in America are 65 or older. Mm-hmm. 3 generations at the same time for the first time. So that's daughter, mother, grandmother, right, all living. All right. 65 or older. Mm-hmm. So if you think about the fuel of decision-making and influence that could be present here when we have the right education in place, when we have resources that are truly, for the ones making the decisions and not just a sales pitch, I think we can make this system better than it's ever been. And if you read my boring Medicare blog, you will know that recently I wrote a little piece about how Medicare is this one beautiful function that's truly bipartisan. It doesn't matter what you believe or which side you're for. Every single person is for making Medicare better. So if we can get in the majority of, our population really rooting for changes, and that's what we're seeing. It is getting better every single year. It's gotten better. And I'm excited and proud to be a part of.
You should be leading it. I mean, people can hear the passion. I'm sitting here going, wow, man, she's excited about this. I don't know if there's a Medicare czar. I doubt if there is, but I'm going to get off the podcast recording and call the administration and say, I found the person you need to put on the Sunday shows and talk about Medicare. I think it would be a positive, because I think it's similar to annuities. It gets a bad rap because people don't understand what they're talking about. And then you have people commenting on it that have no clue or have an agenda behind it. And then it gets all messy and muddled, and people just kind of throw up their hands at it. And once again, mamabearmedicare.com, and I'll have a page for Ellie on our site. Couple more things before we close it out. Speak a little bit more detailed about the rights. You talk about protecting the rights you're protecting for the person out there listening and viewing us. Once again, go over those rights that they have.
Sure. So number one, you have the right to original Medicare, which is reaping the benefits that you've been sowing into through your tax dollars. You may still be sowing into them. And on the first day of the month that you turn 65, or the month before, if you were born on the 1st, that's a little special rule, you become eligible to have Medicare as your primary health insurance, whether you want to retire or not. That's right. One right that a lot of people don't realize. So at Mama Bear Medicare, we like to look at what someone currently has, and that's where we start to see what makes the most sense. Is there a dot in a different place that we can connect that makes more sense for you? So that's one thing, the right just to be able to reap what you've been sowing into.
Right.
The right
is how to tap into the contractual guarantees that you've put in place, whether you knew it or not, and how to maximize that, right?
Exactly. And just like these are things that every annuity contract, as you know, holds, is that there is a contractual guarantee.
Right.
So why not put a spotlight on that. It's not as
Mm-hmm.
fancy, right? It's not as flashy. I'm not going to give you a Fitbit.
Right.
And I don't have the budget to blast you with all kinds of, commercials
Sure.
or periodicals or whatever. But what I do have is a voice and a microphone and a little camera here. So
And morals and ethics, which is the biggest thing that you can bring to the table with any type of financial advice, for sure. I mean, that's the one thing that should be a given in the financial business. But I've worked for everybody from Dean Witter and Payne Weber, Morgan Stanley, UBS. I worked in New York City in the World Trade II Tower before it tragically fell. I've been at those levels, and I think the biggest challenge for the financial services industry, and it's no different than any other industry, is just doing the right thing for the customer, and it sounds easy, but for whatever reason, a lot of agents and advisors have a little issue with that, and they're always pushing the envelope. And what I think you need to take away from this, in my opinion, is, if you're talking about annuities, you're talking about contractual guarantees, regardless of the policy that you're looking at or the type of annuity. When it comes to Medicare, you're talking about the contractual guarantees offered and making sure that you're maximizing those. And if you need something additional, then you add that to it, but not automatically, and not automatically giving up the rights and the contractual guarantees that you have earned over time. What else would you add to that? Because we're going to have you on in the future to go over. I mean, we're literally going to go through the process with you, like how it all works and all the boring stuff. We just did that recently with the person that runs my company, and she oversees the administrative side. And we went through, okay, you're going to buy an annuity. You're going to go through the paperwork. We're going to do that with you going forward. But I wanted to formally introduce you to my listeners and my viewers on who you were, have them go to your site, get comfortable with who you are, watch your videos on your site. So we're going to have you on, so you don't have to get it all in today. But what would you tell people as kind of a final parting word, because I always do this with my celebrity guests? What would you tell them about Medicare if you had the floor for a minute? What would you say?
I would say, don't be afraid. You don't have to be afraid of these crossroads. All of the information that you need is public information. There's a way to find it. And sadly, some commercials make it almost impossible to just naturally get there. But
Right.
it's like a treasure hunt. It's a treasure hunt. And sometimes it's a little bit painful to get to where you need to go. But the treasure of Medicare is worth it. It's worth the time. It's worth sitting down with someone to see exactly what will meet your needs best, because there's a chance you could have it, from the first day of the month that you turn 65 until heaven. And that's a wonderful opportunity. And I would say that there's nothing boring about Leah, if that's who you're talking about, that was on your podcast.
Yeah, she's the CEO and director of operations of the Annuity Man. I'm smart enough to know that I have a full management team. I mean, my primary role is putting out this type of information, my videos, and interacting with my clients. But yeah, the administrative side, yeah, I have a full team. I think it's refreshing to finally find someone that's kind of grounded. You are grounded on what you're trying to do and help. And I fully sign off on people contacting Ellie. Once again, Mama Bear Medicare, and we'll have all her stuff on my site, phone number and things like that. And just have her in your Rolodex. Have her as your resource and go-to person for Medicare. If you're going to go to the bad chicken dinner seminar, the expensive steak dinner seminar talking about Medicare, swallow the food, not the pitch. As I tell people all the time, my mom, who lives in St. Augustine, Florida, 82 years old, 83, she eats 4 times a week on agents' dimes, and I really appreciate them feeding her, but she doesn't fall for the pitch. So I would rather you do that as well. Ellie, thank you so much for being with us today. You're definitely going to be back on in the future. And I want to thank every single person out there that's listening to us on all major podcast platforms, and also the Fun with Annuities YouTube channel. My name is Stan, the Annuity Man, and you're listening to the #1 annuity podcast on the planet called Fun with Annuities. See you next week. Thanks for listening to Fun with Annuities. Please hit the subscribe button and make sure to go to my site at theannuityman.com, where you can run your own SPIA, DIA, and QLAC quotes and see a live feed of the best MIGA fixed rates in the country, and even get indexed and income rider quotes as well. You can also sign up for my 6 annuity owner's manual books, and I'll ship them for free and under no obligation. I also encourage you to schedule a one-on-one call with me, Stan the Annuity Man, so we can have a full discussion of your specific situation. It will be the best brutally factual and truthful advice you will ever get, and that's one guarantee you should definitely take advantage of. So join me next time for the #1 annuity podcast on the planet, Fun with Annuities.